So, you want to lose weight for summer? Well, in this video, I'm revealing another 8 strategies that I'm telling my clients to use because as a dietitian, I know what works. If you're new here, I'm Maria and I'm a registered dietitian. Welcome to the channel. So in part 1 of this series, which I'll leave linked in the description box below if you haven't seen it, I talked about tactics to limit late night snacking. But I know that sometimes that's just not practical. Maybe you're home late from an event or a kid's football training, and you need to eat something because if you don't, you'll be going to bed starving and then you won't be able to sleep. And we also learned last week that not sleeping can lead to weight gain too. Well, what you choose to eat right before you go to bed can have an impact on your metabolism the next day. So if we are going to eat right before bed, we're going to be making sure we're making the right choice. Now, there was a very good study that took 3 groups of participants. One group ate carbohydrates before bed. The other group ate protein, specifically whey protein before bed. And the last group had protein again, but it was casein protein. And what they found was really interesting. The group that had the casein protein, which is a slow release protein, the next morning when they woke up, they were less hungry. They also found that those who had the protein before bed, whether it was the whey protein or the casein protein, had faster metabolisms the next day. And those who ate the carbohydrate containing foods before bed had a slower metabolism the next day. So by having protein as your late night snack can have a positive impact on your metabolism the next day. And the casein protein in particular had a better impact on hunger levels the next morning. Now, if you're thinking you don't want to be having protein powders or a chicken breast before bed, well, casein is the predominant protein in milk. So the likes of your Greek yogurt, your Skyr yogurt, and your cottage cheese are really good options. So maybe you could try one of these with some berries before bed, or go for a glass of milk or a hot chocolate. Now I'm going to pause here and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the red subscribe button below. And if you're looking for healthy, high protein recipe ideas, I would recommend following me over on Instagram. Now, the next thing that I get my clients to do when they're trying to lose weight is to ensure that they get a good amount of protein at breakfast, at least 15 to 20 grams. Getting enough protein overall is so important when you're trying to lose weight, but getting the timing right can make that a little bit more of an impact. So having a high protein breakfast has been shown to decrease late night snacking of foods high in fat, sugar and salt. And for many of my clients, they will often tell me it's that time in the evening when they're sitting on the couch that they struggle with. This is when the mindless snacking, grazing and packets of biscuits come into play. And many people are surprised when I say, well, let's not look at what's happening on the couch in the evening. Let's actually go all the way back to the morning and look at what you had for breakfast. I'm not going to tell you to just stop eating biscuits. As a dietitian, I'm here to give you practical solutions because there appears to be something special when it comes to protein at breakfast in particular. There is some evidence that suggests that the feeling of fullness after a high protein breakfast is greater than the feeling of fullness from a high protein lunch or dinner. Now, you don't need to be knocking back a protein shake or having a chicken breast as soon as you wake up in the morning. But when you do have your first meal, it needs to be high in protein. There was another really cool study done on people who normally skip breakfast. And what they did was one group, they just let them be as they were and they continued to skip breakfast. The other group had a milk and cereal for breakfast containing around 13 grams of protein. And the last group had a higher protein breakfast with things like eggs or dairy, averaging at around 35 grams of protein. Now they did this for around 12 weeks. And the group of people that had the higher protein breakfast reduced their daily calorie intake by 400 calories and they lost body fat. While the group that ate cereal or the group that continued to skip breakfast, they actually gained body fat. So it's definitely a point worth considering. Now, my next tip is a bit of a psychology switch because we need to adopt a flexible mindset when it comes to dieting. If you have a rigid mindset where you either fail or succeed, you're not going to get very far because in reality, dieting is a long game that will include many wins and many losses, but you just need to keep going. So a useful strategy that I use here with many of my clients is thinking about their food intake over the course of a week rather than per day. Many people get defeated if they make one slip up in the day and then they just throw in the towel for that day and eat whatever they want. So zooming out and taking a bigger picture approach can be very helpful. One meal, one snack, and one day of eating will not ruin your progress. Think of it like running a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes you may need to stop and walk for a little while. Now, we can't talk about weight loss without talking about fibre. Do I need to say it louder for the people in the back? Fibre helps with weight loss. It is not just all about the protein. So fibre-rich foods like your vegetables, your fruit, your nuts and your seeds, they all involve a lot more chewing. which makes such a big impact. If you imagine every chew is sending signals to the brain to tell it that it's feeling full. And when we chew more, we increase the saliva and gastric juice that we're producing. And that can result in expansion of the stomach. So in other words, the stomach filling up to say that I'm full, making you naturally eat less. It's like a balloon being blown up. Some fibre also slows the rate at which food leaves the stomach. And the longer your stomach is full, the longer you feel full. And fibre goes beyond just the bulk that it provides. It also feeds our gut microbiome, which is so famous these days. These can then produce chemicals that have been shown to reduce food cravings and better regulate your appetite. To convince you even further about fibre, research shows that the addition of 14 grams of fibre into someone's daily diet was associated with a 10% decrease in calorie consumption and a weight loss of about 2 kg over the period of 4 months. So in other words, add in 14 grams of fibre every day, do it for 4 months and you'll lose 2 kg. So yes, you can actually focus on adding in more foods whilst losing weight. I love to take this additive approach when it comes to nutrition. Now, if you want to learn more about fibre, I have a full, complete guide to fibre, which I will leave linked in the description box below. Next, we're going to look at managing cravings with a strategy. So we have different types of hunger. Head hunger, heart hunger, and tummy hunger are the main three. And we need to manage them all when we're trying to diet. I'll start with tummy hunger as this one is straightforward enough. It's your physical hunger. So to manage this, you don't want to allow yourself to go too extreme with your dieting. When you cut calories too low or you over-restrict yourself, all your good intentions can eventually go out the window. And this is why small calorie deficits that you can sustain over a longer period of time work, not those 5-day juice detox cleanses. Now, heart hunger is emotional eating, and we all do this from time to time, which is okay. But some of us are doing it a little bit too often, and we need to come up with strategies to deal with difficult emotions without using food. So maybe instead of getting ice cream and watching Netflix, you could treat yourself to a nice face mask and going for a nice long bath, or try to journal when you feel stressed instead of opening and closing the fridge. Then we have head hunger, which is quite habitual. So it might be that dessert that you always have after your dinner, or that afternoon chocolate you have in the office. It's a routine that you're used to, but you're not actually hungry. You're probably just after having a full dinner or a full lunch. And you're not emotional here either. It's just something that you've always done and you always want. So in this case, it might be trying to replace the habit or having a distraction plan. I like to use the phrase defer, don't deny. I'm going to use myself as an example here. I always love an afternoon cup of tea and a biscuit or a chocolate. And particularly in the work environment, it's hard to say no to this because there's always a box of chocolates on the nurse's station, or it's somebody's birthday and there's cake in the office room. But if I come back to the office after lunch and I'm distracted because I get on a phone call or I'm immersed in a really difficult project, I will almost completely forget about that cup of tea and that chocolate that I always want. But if I'm not that busy, I'll find it really hard to avoid it. So trying to have something else instead of this habit, or something to distract you, can be really beneficial. And the more often you do this, the more you start to remove that habit and the easier it becomes to no longer want that cup of tea and biscuit anymore. Now, we do have one other type of hunger that's worth mentioning here, which is taste hunger. So again, you're not hungry, you might be just after finishing a meal, but you really want that taste of chocolate or that crunch from some crisps or a salty flavor. Let me know in the comments below if you can relate to this. But you want chocolate, but you're telling yourself that you can't have it. So you start going around your kitchen cupboards and you have a rice cake, you have some nuts, you have a cracker. But all this time, it's not actually satisfying what you really want, which is chocolate. So you'll often end up just giving up and having the chocolate, but you've also had all these nibbles as well. And in this scenario, sometimes you are better off just allowing yourself to have the chocolate in the first place, because you just need to satisfy that taste. So sometimes it is good to give in to that craving. And many of my clients find portion controlled snack size bars or chocolates or pre-portioned biscuits can be useful here. Because again, it's just that taste that you're after, you're not actually hungry. Now, taste hunger really comes into play when people go on very restrictive diets, particularly something like a juice diet or a soup diet, because they are lacking crunch. And for most of us, we really do need something sweet, something salty, and something crunchy every single day. So don't cut these things out completely because you may just never end up being content. The next thing that I get my clients to do is to eat slowly, mindfully, and with small mouthfuls. The size of every bite of food should be about the size of a 20-cent coin. If you're not Irish, that's about the size of a teaspoon head. Now, you should be chewing 10 to 20 times for every biteful. And you should be leaving a gap of 10 to 20 seconds between each mouthful. Now, the more dramatic that this sounds, the more it means that you need to be doing it. And what this does is it slows down the process of eating, so you can listen to your body. It can take 15 minutes for your stomach to send signals to the brain to tell it that it's full. And some people can gulp back entire meals in 15 seconds, never mind 15 minutes. And we also need to eat mindfully without distractions. Because if we're distracted, we can't listen to our body when it's trying to tell us that we're full. And eating on the go, or while you're working on your laptop or watching the TV, this all interferes with your body's ability to listen to our satiety cues. And being mindful is the first step to avoid overeating. It has been shown to help people better control their portion sizes, eat less, and lose weight without ever even setting out to do so in the first place. Now, this tip is so basic, and many of us know that we need to be doing it. But sometimes it takes being told by a registered dietitian that you need to be drinking more water. I advise my weight loss clients to drink 1 glass of water before each meal, as sometimes our bodies can mistake hunger for thirst. So we want to aim to be properly hydrated before we sit down to eat a meal. And staying hydrated is crucial here to help control your appetite. You want to be aiming for at least 8 cups of fluid a day. And to be more specific, you want to consume 35 ml of fluid every day per kg of body weight. So if you're 80 kg, you want to multiply this by 35. A good guide as well is to look at your urine, and it should be a very pale, almost clear colour. If plain water is too boring, try adding a slice of lemon, some mint leaves, or some sugar-free cordial. And always try to have a water bottle at hand and you can sip it throughout the day. Hydration is a really simple yet powerful tool for weight loss. Now, I always again look for studies that focusing on adding things in to help with weight loss, rather than cutting everything out. And in terms of water, there was one study with 2 groups of participants, and they were both asked to follow a lower calorie diet in order to lose weight. One group drank 500 ml of water before their meals, and the other group did not. And interestingly, that group that drank the water before their meals lost 2 kg more weight than the group that didn't. So these findings are really significant if I haven't convinced you enough already. Now, I'm often asked about tea and coffee, and these can contribute to your fluid needs. But if you're trying to lose weight, you just really want to make sure your tea and coffee doesn't have loads of sugar and syrups and creamers, because that would be counterintuitive. Now, this point is arguably one of the most important ones of them all. The diet that will work for you is the diet that you can stick to. We are always hearing about different diets on the internet. Low carb diets, low fat diets, intermittent fasting, the list goes on, and there's a new one trending every week. But in reality, all of these diets can work if they result in you eating less. But that doesn't mean in practical terms they're easy to follow and stick to. And what works for one person may not work at all for you. I have a multitude of different weight loss clients, and some of them take very different approaches to each other, but still find success. For some people, limiting carbohydrates is really useful, and for others, it's not a life worth living. So don't look at what the person next to you is doing, or what the girl in work is doing, or what worked for her on Instagram. Nutrition is highly individual. And if you're really struggling, I'd recommend speaking to a registered dietitian to help you build a personalized approach. Now, hopefully these tips have been helpful. Please comment below and let me know what video you'd like me to make next, or if there's any other area of weight loss that you're struggling with that you'd like me to delve deeper into. As always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button. Stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.